Welcome back to Asinine Radio, a weekly podcast where we talk about music, and, well, that's pretty much it. So, let's go!
Children. We're children. This is Asinine Radio. This is the weekly music podcast where every week we take all of the albums from the artists we're doing, our band that we're doing, and we rank them from worst to best. We also give our biggest banger from each of them. But before we do that, we do our 6 Degrees of Tom DeLonge. If you don't know what that is, it's the same idea behind, 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon, but between Tom DeLonge and the artist of the week. God. Dude, I hate pod intros. The Pintros. I hate the Pintros.
The Pintros.
Go to Apple Podcasts. Go rate, review, and subscribe to us on there. Follow us on social media at Asinine Radio. We do have a phone number you can call, leave a voicemail, or send us a text. It's 503-893-5307. We did have somebody reach out to us just a couple days ago, asking about Devo. So we do read them. They don't just sit unread. So get into that. Let's just get right into the album rankings. Let's get into Dr. Dre. We're doing Dr. Dre, or actually before we do that, we're doing the 6 Degrees of Tom DeLonge, like I already said. Mm-hmm. Potting is hard. Mm-hmm. So do you have anything for the 6 Degrees of Tom DeLonge?
Yeah, I did one right away, and then I planned on going back and doing another one, and then I forgot. So I just have my one, and it's really cheap.
Okay, I have one as well. So what do you got?
Dre to Snoop. Snoop was featured on a Travis song. Travis is Tom.
Travis is Tom.
Boring.
Okay, so I have one as well. We start with Dr. Dre, who was in NWA with Ice Cube. Ice Cube was on a Korn song off of Follow the Leader. With Korn. And then Feldy co-wrote a Korn song on their last record. Feldy is also in Blink-182, and then Blink to Tom. So that's what I got right there. Easy peasy.
Look at that. Easy peasy.
Easy peasy. So
Lemon
with
squeezy.
The 6 Degrees of Tom DeLonge out of the way, let's finally get into the album rankings of Dr. Dre, his 3 records with his worst. What do you got, Jeff? Go.
I would assume ours are probably going to be the same here. And it's not... His worst is not a bad record. Compton, that's my least favorite, and it's just too new, to be honest. It's the soundtrack to the album, NWA or the movie, the soundtrack to the album. This fucking guy. You see my hands? You see them?
I saw your Italian hands. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a soundtrack to the album, and I think it's just too new. I haven't listened to this as many times as I have 2001 and The Chronic. So I think that's just why it has to go somewhere. And like, obviously it's not fucking better than The Chronic. It's just not. It's taking,
there's no way.
It would not exist had it not been for The Chronic. So if anything, it's just in contention of being better than 2001, which is not. But I think there's a lot of merit to this. I think it's still a fucking fantastic album. I think Dre he's still got it. He's still on his game. He still knows how to put people together to make it not really a Dre album, but like a party of a bunch of rappers and vocalists, and put them all together and know who to put with who. Kind of like the RZA with Wu-Tang. Like, Dre just knows how to delegate, and this album proves it, because some of the tracks that he's on, it's just Dre. Like, oh, okay, all right, I've heard that 1,000 times. He's not great because he's not a great rapper, but the songs that don't have him on there, like half the album doesn't have him on there at all, and he's just like, those are the best songs, and that's what I like about Dre. That's what I like about him. But my favorite song on here is actually, speaking of the devil from earlier, my favorite song is the one with Exhibit, X to the Z Exhibit. That's our boy. Loose Cannons, baby. Alvin Joyner is his name. I learned that this week too. I thought it was so great.
That's a weird name. I would never have expected that.
Of course, dude. When you're born Alvin Joyner, you have to have a cool nickname like Exhibit. Exhibit's like one of the fucking cool. I love that nickname. It's so badass. Love it. Love it.
X to the Z.
X to the Z Exhibit, baby. That's how you say it every single time. Don't ever do it differently. But loose cannons. I honestly like Exhibit solo stuff, and he's done a lot of solo albums too. And I don't
Worst.
I don't get it. I don't get his solo music. I don't think it's very good. Dre likes it, and Dre produced some of his stuff. People like it. I don't. But as a hype man, as a guy just kind of in the background at a party, just ready to tear it up, I think Exhibit is great. He's in a bunch of movies, TV shows, the whole Pimp My Ride thing. I love Exhibit.
Yes.
I do. Yeah, that's my favorite song.
I don't get it.
Least favorite album from the soundtrack of the album.
Of the soundtrack of the album, yes. So my number 3 is also Compton. And I'm with you. There's not enough, to me, there's not enough like of the P-Funk that I was expecting. It's kind of like trap based a little bit on some songs, which I understand. We're kind of transitioning at this point in 2015. We're kind of transitioning into that style, and I understand him trying to like keep up with the times, because that's what he did with 2001. But it's just a kind of a genre I'm not too fond of, and this it's a very disjointed record, because like you said, half of it Dre's not even on. I mean, yeah, he produced it and wrote it, or wrote some of it, but it's just not. It seems more like a compilation than anything else. Like not even a real record. I don't see myself ever going back to it. Ever.
No, I also will not go back to it. I didn't even playlist the Exhibit song either on my hip hop playlist.
The one song that stood out to me, because I was very surprised by how this rapper rapped on it, was the song "One Shot, One Kill" and Snoop Dogg. Never heard him be that aggressive. He was very aggressive on this song. Didn't know he had it in him, especially
this many
way
years
past
later.
His prime.
Yeah,
exactly. Never would have thought. So yeah, "One Shot, One Kill" would be my BB off this one, but I'll never go back to this record. No, nothing on this was playlistable for me. So what do you got for number 2?
And that's 2001. I mean, come on, this is obvious. 2001 is the pop sequel to The Chronic, and 2001 has Eminem on it, and Eminem just, dude, he's so good. He is so fucking good as a rapper, and on this, he is just so he's a banger of a vocalist when he comes out, and he doesn't even come out like his first song isn't. It's his first song isn't even like "Forgot About Dre." Like we hear him earlier on in the album, but it's kind of quick, and he writes it, and it's I don't know. He's like one of my favorite parts of this album. But like 2001, he's just extrapolating on the already established sound that he made, but it's just more. I think it's more pop focused. I think it's more accessible. It's not quite as aggressive. It's not quite as alienating as far as like the gangster versus just a white kid from Yorba Linda listening. And I
but
think
it makes sense. It makes sense for the time.
No, it totally does. And it's what a time. Like 1999, this came out. It's called 2001, and that was just everybody was like, "Why is it called 2001? It's fucking coming out in 1999." Like just that topic alone had people talking for months on end, and it was just such a cool album, and the artwork is just very basic. And there's just some iconic songs. Forgot About Dre, Still Dre, Next Episode, The Watcher. All of these songs are just ingrained into hip hop culture. And Dre just did not miss a beat. He's just a fantastic producer. And then this is on Aftermath. He left Death Row and he made his own label, Aftermath. And he's putting albums out on his own label now. So Dre can do things with anybody at any time, because MWA was on one label, and then he left NWA and did The Chronic on another label and left that one and did another one. And it's just banger after banger after fucking banger. This guy can like literally do no wrong. And it's so irritating and impressive. But I don't know. But like these albums they're fucking long. This album's like 70 minutes long. And there's just a lot of rapping. Like even if you take out the skits themselves, this album's still like 50 minutes long. And it's just like a lot of rapping, and I mean we'll get into it with The Chronic and how long that one also is, but I think these albums are hard to listen to sometimes because of their length. They're just too damn long. But
agreed.
Dude, banger of an album. I got this one on the vinyls. Love it. Listen to it this week. It's amazing.
I need to get it.
Yeah, it's awesome.
I need to get it.
But yeah, my favorite song is fucking Forgot About Dre. I can't. I still know like every single fucking word of that song. That's a short song too. It's not even that long. It's less than 4 minutes, which is short for that big of a banger and on such a long album of a rap album.
And there's like a good like 25, 30 seconds of just the beat at the end. It doesn't even just like end abruptly. There's just that the beat just keeps going.
And then that,
unnecessarily too.
And that transition into the next episode. Oh, and that features Snoop. You got
so
Eminem.
good.
You got Eminem on Forgot About Dre. Then you got Snoop on next episode. And I'm not like a big fan of Snoop.
So good.
And he's his own like entity. He's so different than everybody else, and it's not good. I don't think it's good, but I don't think it's bad either. I think he's just unique in himself. And,
yeah, absolutely.
And, like I like the Doggy Style album he did, but other than that, all of his solo stuff I don't get it. I don't want to get behind it. But when he's featured on a track on somebody else's stuff, I think he's untouchable. I think it's so fucking good.
Oh yeah, it's great.
Especially in these early days, in like the early 90s to late 90s. I think he was fantastic. But Forgot About Dre is my favorite track from this. Way too much nostalgia for me not to pick it.
Makes sense. All right, so my number 2 is also 2001. This one actually it holds a lot more nostalgia than I was expecting it to. And I was surprised at how many songs I remembered, because I haven't listened to this album in, I don't know, maybe 10 years, like in its entirety. But when I was listening through it this week, it was like just high school. It was high school for me on this one, because I had friends who would always listen to this record, and then obviously the big singles. You know, everybody fucking knew those songs, and we still know them to this day. Like Forgot About Dre. We learned that song. I remember learning the lyrics to that song within a month of it coming out. Like, my friends and I, before I even knew you, we were fucking rapping that song like idiots, you know. But
still do.
Man, 2001 is we still do. Yeah, no shame at all.
No,
we still do it. But 2001, I honestly I feel like this is on the same level as The Chronic for me. I think they're interchangeable between the 1 and 2 spot. I think they're so fucking good. And I do like that he kept a lot of the P-Funk sound on this record, but he really modernized it for the time. And he did it just so seamlessly and so perfect, and a lot of people can't make that claim. And also the fact that this sophomore record was a much bigger hit than The Chronic was pretty remarkable, honestly, because usually it's like the sophomore slump is what it's called, because you blow up with your first record, and then the second one is always just kind of like whatever, and then they kind of, a lot of bands or some bands like, you know, get back on it after the second record. But for this one to blow up like it did, it's insane. But I think it's a great record. Forgot About Dre is also my favorite. It's my BB on this one. And one song I totally forgot about was the song Explosive. That song is that's my 2B on 2001. Because I totally forgot about it, but man, that is such a banger of a song.
Explosive.
Explosive, yes, just the letter X. Great stuff. So that's my number 2 is 2001. So obviously our number 1s are both The Chronic. Both The Chronic. So stay tuned for go listen to the main episode right now. While you're doing that, rate, review, and subscribe to us on iTunes. Or Apple Podcasts, whatever. Social media at SNI Radio. And let's get the fuck out of here. That's it. That's all.
Cheeseburger.